Okay, I started the recording, so I'll repeat that. We are at introduction. And then it starts with page 1, but after the preface, the introduction starts. So everybody can go to that in their book. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay, any volunteers to read the introduction? Whoever has the book. Sushilji, would you like to read? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can read.
Okay.
Introduction. Through an ill-adjusted telescope or microscope, we know any object will, of necessity, look blurred with its details lost in a general confusion of data. The more we focus the instrument, the clearer will become our appreciation and true evaluation of the perceived object. Similarly, our perception of the world outside is vague, and our estimation of life false. When we bring into it a maladjusted mind, intellect, equipment.
So here, Bhagwan is, Swamiji is talking about our instruments. We are born with 3 instruments: body, mind, and intellect. Mind and intellect is a very powerful thing because that's what we understand the world through that. So he was just saying that he's giving an example that if we take a telescope or a microscope, whichever one, if that equipment is not adjusted properly, we will see everything blurry. And that's exactly what happens to us. When we are looking at the world, हमको सब chaos and confusion and सब दुष्ट लोग ही दिखाई देते हैं, लगते क्या हो रहा है दुनिया में. If you hear the news, like I always say, you feel like the world is coming to an end. वो उसको bomb कर रहा है, वो उससे fight कर रहा है and all that. But we have to have the right vision to see beyond that and clarity. So he's just comparing that to and he will explain in the next verse that what we need to, next couple of paragraphs, how we have to do adjustment.
In this sense, if we compare the function of the mind and intellect with an ordinary telescope, we can say that the inner instrument in us has the mind for its object glass and intellect for its eyepiece. When the adjustment in each of them are not correct, and when their relationship with each other is not properly maintained, the object viewed does not faithfully represent its true form. The more perfect their adjustment, the better the vision through them.
So, I was telling you that I learned a lot of science because of Swamiji. So I'm like, what is, even though I have a telescope in my house, but I don't know what these words exactly meant. So I had to do some research. Object glass and eyepiece. Okay. So object glass is where it collects all that light from the stars or whatever you're trying to look at the object. And eyepiece is that it zooms it. And both need to be adjusted, it seems, huh? We have those little thing that you move it around. I'm looking at the moon and it's all blurry, then I got to adjust it, right? And the relationship has to be correct between them too. So their mind or intellect bola hai. So we saw that lower mind is that which collects the data, and buddhi, your intellect, makes the decision. और अगर उनमें इंटीग्रेशन नहीं हो तो हम लोग को जो डेटा मिला है वो हम लोग अपना मसाला उसमें डाल के and then we take all wrong decisions, and we look at it all wrong. We look at somebody and सारे पिछला baggage लेके आएंगे हम लोग के, oh, this person is like that, maybe that person has changed now. How do you know? Right, what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm just giving an example how we kind of mess up our view of the world, So that's what he's just comparing, that because this example, if we understand, we'll understand our mind and intellect and their relationship. That's why he's giving this powerful example. And then I wanted to tell you another thing, that Sadguru, he always says that inner engineering he uses. Exactly for same reason. That Bhagwan ne tumko intellect or mind diya hai, and instead of becoming happy, we make ourselves miserable because of it. So adjust those, make your life happy. That's what he's trying to tell us too.
When an individual has lived his life in integration with his mind through one or the other, or even a combination of the four main paths in spiritual practices, bhakti, karma, jnana, or Hatha yoga, that individual starts gaining a deeper and clearer vision of life as a whole. He is no longer available for any vulgar enthusiasm to sweep him away from himself and make him a victim of some of the passing fancies of his generation. He independently evaluates life with a tragic poignancy, comes to feel the dire imperfections that poison everything. He perceived the descent of a dark veil of tragic finitude upon the world around him, making it ugly and insufferably detestable.
Okay, so now very strong language Swamiji has used. It's like they are brutally honest. That's why. So don't get disturbed by it, because all the Swamis have this one quality. They are not shy about telling. So firstly, that go back to this example that, okay, that I have the telescope and that eyepiece and that whatever is called object glass. Unka relationship sahi hona chahiye, and then I have to tune it, right? Now I have this equipment, mind and intellect. How do I tune? I wish it was as simple as a telescope. उसको लेके ऐसा थोड़ा घुमा दिया सर में कुछ और सब ठीक हो जाएगा. Sadly, no. What do we need to do? The 4 yogas. Bhakti, karma, jnana and hatha yoga. Through that we can make it adjusted. So it's not an easy path, but remedy is given. There's no doubt. And the Bhagavad Gita is the whole thing is we are doing Upanishad, but it's part of Upanishad only. So these are the 4 ways we can tune our mind. That's what he's saying. And once we look at clearer vision, and it was, I think, Tejomayananji, he has written a book called Vision of Gita. What does Gita do for us? It expands our vision. We're sitting here like in this little house of ours with our little world, and we are looking down like that and feeling miserable. You're saying, no, the universe, go to the universe. Moment you go expand, your own little problems become small. We do an experiment like with the children. It's like we bring salt and water. And if you take 1 chammach of water and put 1 chammach of salt and mix it, it will be so khara. You won't be able to have it. Then you put it in a little bigger bowl, the same amount of salt, and then it feels less khara. And then you put it in some big pot, less. Then you throw it in a lake, that same. The salt is still there. Scientifically, it's not gone anywhere. It is in the lake, but can you taste it? No. That's what the bigger vision does, that you get out of your own misery, and then this finitude that we feel and all that. We expand the vision. We worry about this life. This is out of millions of life, one life. So why am I worrying so much? And then beyond that, there is something also. See, that's kind of expansion of the vision. That's what he's talking about. Once we have that bigger vision, we realize we see the imperfections. It doesn't mean that we hate the world or say it is finite, so I don't want to do anything with it. No. It's like a child playing with the sand, making the castle, and then it's going to go away and make another one. Don't get so attached to it. That's what he's basically trying to tell us, but in his own strong language.
This does not mean that he turns himself cynical or that he becomes a victim of either a mental dejection or an intellectual pessimism. It only means that in his ruthless judgment, he sees life, all the happenings without and within him, the lot of the people outside his home, and the destiny of himself in his own family, in his stark nakedness, bereft of all sentimentalities and aversions. just as a scientist observes the rising sun through his telescope.
So Swamiji is just saying, like whatever I was talking about earlier, that just because we know this world is finite and it's not going to last long, whatever changes constantly, we don't have to turn cynical or it becomes a victim of the mental dejection, फिर life का फायदा ही क्या है? Something like that, totally depressed. Nothing like that. It's not. He's just looking at life exactly the way it is. If it is temporary, then it is like foolish to get attached to it. You don't know when it will be taken away. Something like that. And then, when we see people in our own home and destiny, you can say, Janam, Maran, chalta rehta hai, right? Like in every family and those things happen. And we look at it without sentimentalism, without aversion, just like a scientist. And then when we come, we have done chapter 2 long time ago, so you may have forgotten. But in that also Bhagwan starts with the highest knowledge to Arjuna and says, you are not the body, you are not the mind, and you are the Atma. Atma, nobody can kill, blah, 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 everything he said. And then he realized maybe he won't understand completely. So he said, okay, if you don't understand that, then observe around you. People die and are born again. So even if you don't believe in that hi-fi Atma, at least know this much, that if people whoever is born is definitely going to die, then why are you crying? It's a fact, right? So something like that, hey, accept the things that is around you and then learn from it. You can take it this way also, this paragraph.
The intellectual vision of the scientist is not clouded by sentimental emotions of a poet or the deep discoveries of a mystic and his penetrating perception. The scientist observes a phenomena and carefully notes down his observations of data. Similarly, when, through a right living and correct practices of devotion, upasana, a seeker gets fully integrated within, he comes to see things as they are, stripped naked of his attachments, vanities, preconceived mental dreams, and their associated ideas.
He gave a brilliant example, right? That a scientist, suppose there is a flower, a poet will start writing poetry, that's going to be beautiful. We can enjoy that poetry, and some other people will be doing some other perception of it. But a scientist will want to know, what is it made up of, when does it come, how does it die, he's not going to worry about the sentimental thing of the poet and all. So he's just saying that we get that capability of after doing these practices of different type of upasana, devotion and all that, our mind gets integrated. That means our equipment gets tuned and we become capable of looking at it as it is. So the scientist can be a poet also. He can enjoy the poetry, but he also knows the truth. That's how we have to look at it. That he's not putting down the poetry, but he's telling you that you should know what is real and unreal very, very well. That's what he's trying to say.
Such a full-grown man becomes a fully qualified student for the pursuit of truth through the path of knowledge which Vedanta prescribes. Such an individual comes to see a purposeless hollowness in the business card life as is available for him in the world. He comes to wonder and concludes that life is but an empty dream. At the same time, his acute intelligence instinctively tells him that it cannot be so, and that there must be some great purpose behind it all, which perhaps he is not able to perceive.
It almost is telling about a spiritual journey of a person, that a person who start doing Vedanta or start studying about it, that, all this, and then a world is like temporary. The first thing is come to is the hollowness in life. Hey, what is this nonsense? It's not going to be there tomorrow. Western people are kind of, they have the same idea, but they're very crude in their sentences. So this one fellow, American fellow, he said, life is a bitch and then you die. you know. It was sounded terrible. Oh my God. Like, you know, it sounds like you do all these things, in the end you die. So, but at the same time, his acute intelligently, instinctively tells him that it cannot be that. You cannot have life's purpose, you know, just khao piyo, maja karo, you know, have a big house, have this and all. Then so what after that? Has to be something more. It pushes him to think beyond. That's the most important thing. That भगवान ने भेजा है तो ऐਵੇਂ ही नहीं भेजा होगा, कुछ तो purpose होगा उसके पीछे, you know, because all these temporary things cannot satisfy us. There is something more. That's what he's trying to point at.
The restlessness of the soul, growing at first as a mere intellectual quest, soon burns him up in conflagration, roasted in this deep and subtle fire within. He becomes all ablaze with doubts and questions and seeks a solution to the great riddle called life.
So he's telling about our journey almost, right? That once you start understanding that this restlessness come in us, and you know, it's at first it is like a intellectual quest. 1 second. And it said it soon burns him up in a conflagration, means extensive fire, that means. And roasted in his deep and subtle fire within. Means all these doubts and all that are coming out because he's churning. There are, you churn and fire comes out. So he's saying that doubts and questions, they are not bad at all. They are good. That's why that you have that guru sitting with the chela, you know, in all these Upanishads. Guru is answering the chela's questions, because until he clears the doubt, he's not going to get to his, you know, destination. So that's what it is, that all these, we should not be scared of doubts and questions. They are normal. But Vedanta has answers, if you are open to listen to it, and then seeks the solution for this riddle called life. So it's a journey, and we should not be scared of it, you know. Like they always say that when you start studying spiritual stuff, in the beginning you get a little more dukhi, you know, because all these negative things in us and others, sab kuch dikhai dene lagta hai, you know, you get disturbed about it, you know. So,
men of knowledge in the world's secular fields are no doubt diligent scientists in life, but it's only the rishis, prophets and masters who are the scientists of life. To the material scientist, the world of matter up to the outermost margins of the spirit is the field, while to the great seers, the deeper world within the very spiritual realm, life itself is the field of inquiry. When modern scientists like Einstein, at certain moments of their wanderings, cross their frontiers and come to step over the realm of philosophy, they come to enjoy the status of the prophet of their age. If Darwin was a prophet of the 19th century in the West, any student of physics would admit that Einstein was the prophet of the present century.
So very interesting observation. So he said that all these scientists that are scientists in life, means जो material scientists होते हैं, जितने भी हैं यहाँ पर West में, but these prophets and rishi munis and all जो होते हैं, and there are prophets in the Western world also, India में ज़्यादा है, who are scientists of life. So off and in में उन्होंने different किया, you know, hey, what is life itself? And you know, in outside world is saying they have stretched it, that, you know, very, very far. And, you know, like after they stretch it very far, they literally hit a wall. And in that wall, they become philosophers. If you see, you know, Einstein had a spiritual bent, you know, more and more is coming out. And then the other day, a few months ago, I watched a show on Nikola Tesla, who was a scientist too, and his spiritual side. And there was somebody had interviewed him, but they had hidden that interview. For the longest time, they didn't want scientists to, because they in the West, they divide it. Material science, spiritual science, those are two different boxes. In India, it's not like that. The Vedas are not like that. Veda is a books of knowledge. Material as well as spiritual knowledge is all mixed up there. That's why you have in the Upavedas, you have, Artha Shastra is there, Viman Shastra, pata nahi kya kya, Dhanur Vidya, Falana, all the material things are also part of it. Because it cannot be different. But anyway, this is what it is. And Swamiji is just bringing Darwin and Einstein and all that, and some people may even call them prophets. And, each century, basically what message I'm getting from this paragraph is that the people who go highest in the material science, they also reach the spiritual realm. Because they realize, that something beyond is there, and then they want to inquire about those kind of things, That's what it is.
A seeker therefore approaches a master and pours out his question about life and seeks to understand the logic of the happenings in it. The answers given by sympathetic masters of love in the veranda of their hermitages on the banks of the Ganga are all traditionally handed down to us, and they constitute the textbooks of Hindu philosophy.
So Swamiji is referring to all the Upanishads. What were the Upanishads? They were, the seekers approached the masters and poured out that question of life and secret. These people, masters, are the one who have experienced that highest state. They know, they understand what life is. And then now they are trying to give that knowledge to their students. Then students know all the terminologies, know all the, words and all, but they don't have the experience yet. And, there's a conversation. And these sympathetic masters in their love to their children, to their students, they have this conversation is all traditionally handed down. This is what Upanishads are. That's what it is. It's a conversation between teacher and master. What kind of teacher and master? That's what he just explained.
Devoid of its relationship with life, a scripture becomes a dead book of idealism and not a dynamic philosophy which can bring hope and joy, succor and solace to the generation of faithful followers. There must therefore be an intimate relationship between a dynamic religion and life, just as there must be a definite relationship between a musician and the accompaniments for good music, or between the plant and blossoms on it, so that they may become the source of fruits. When there's any revolutionary change in the religious ideologies and the philosophical concepts of a generation, the entire pattern of life in this society changes.
Swamiji has a long sentences. So basically, he's just saying that if you just talk of some ideal subject or some utopia, something like that, people don't connect to it. It's like, even in Bhagavad Gita, the reason it has become so popular and all that, because it's a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna Bhagwan, and the situation that they have created in Mahabharata, like a battleground. And we feel like we are in a battleground every day in this world, right? Outside, inside, everywhere. So, and then that's where it becomes real, that I can also benefit from it. It is connected to life. It's not like some ideal philosophy, or you just learn, read it in a book, become the Pandit, and you're done with it. No, not like that. So same way here, when we see the Upanishads, a student is coming, teacher is talking, and they are discussing things to help them. We saw the whole Taittiriya Upanishad. The materialism was not shunned over there. He said, uska prayer he starts with, make all my instrument very powerful and good. Physically I have to be all very good. So, any ki weakling baithe hua, sick and all, not like that. Everything in the world, it's touched upon and it's connected with life, then it becomes more useful. And then, changes happen. And he's going to talk about that in the following paragraph, that changes are inevitable And this philosophy has to adjust according to the change. That's why we should not take something, 5,000 years ago, certain things were exactly same like it is now. Other things are not. So don't just become fanatic about it. Certain changes are okay as long as the foundation is there, the same one. Those are the kind of important things. And Swamiji is very open-minded like that. He's not very fixed in his ideas like that.
At certain periods of history, when convulsions of social and economic change overtake a community, the existing religion also must be mobile enough in its non-essentials to swing and change, yield and accommodate, relax and embrace the new demands that have been created in this society under the new impulses set forth by the revolution. That religion which is not versatile enough to respond properly to these inner throbbings of a society or a community will perish under the weight and sway of onrushing march of progress.
So beautifully Swamiji explained that the religion has to be flexible, and I think that ours is supposed to be the oldest, Sanatan Dharma, so it is like nobody even knows when it got started. All the principles don't change. The reason it's called Sanatan Dharma because it's like a physics ka principle doesn't change. Whether it is now or gravity was the same, it is going to remain the same. Same way, all the things about the mind also. Like whatever dirt we have in the mind, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsarya, that was there at Ramayan's time also, Mahabharata, and now also same. It's not going to change how the mind works and all that. But the main point he's telling you is that the religion or these things have to have some flexibility. So he uses, non-essential things, swing and change, yield and accommodate, relax and embrace to the new demands. Then it will survive. So the way he describes is foundation has to be strong, upper side has to be flexible. So you can change. And that's why in Bhagavad Gita also, Bhagwan is, सब बोलते हैं ना एक लकड़ी से सबको नहीं हाँक रहे हैं, वो बोलते हैं there are different paths given. You choose in the end with the same different path, you will reach the same goal and you will understand the other paths, but you may be more conducive to one type. Take that and start moving. That's how we have to look at it. If you guys have any questions, then please interrupt now, because I don't want to keep continuing, because this is like a long introduction. So just don't hesitate if there's something comes up. But some comment is there.
The epitaphs written on the tombs of all dead religions have the same theme. And if we are to make an honest report upon the working of some of the existing religions of the world, with reference to the newborn one word, awareness, and the growing democratic appreciation of the equality of men, we can safely forecast that they are destined to die away soon. History of religions clearly indicates this intimate wedlock between the religion and life. But somehow or other, in our haste and hurry, in our impatience and ignorance, we come to question whether there is, after all, any relationship between life and religion.
So here I think that the way I understood this, that we separate it, life and religion. That's why we sometimes we say, I don't have time right now, to do some, to learn about religion, to learn about Gita, this and that. We think it's some kind of a activity I should be doing when I retire, But there is an intimate relationship between life. If there is an intimate, then I should learn it from kindergarten, because then I can do better in my life. Because there is an intimate relationship. After my life is almost over, if I want to go, I can still benefit. I'm not saying. But he's just trying to bring the point that they have to be together. And our scriptures are like that, And that's why it has survived for that long. Otherwise, if it is actually separate, it's not going to survive. That's what he's saying.
Unlike the Semitic religions, Hinduism is not a rigid textbook of commandments and orders, declarations and revelations. Our sacred lore is a textbook of scientific facts and has the healthy instincts of a growing tradition. If a tree were to be encased in reinforced concrete, it cannot grow. No doubt it must have a bark of some rigidity, but it must be a living bark that will yield freely to the healthy impulses of the growth that may come from within the core of the tree. Hinduism, as a science of life, recognized this sacred fact and has refused to bind itself in foliage, but has kept it all in loose sheets so that new insertions and rejections are always possible, except, of course, some of the eternal laws and truths which are fundamental to life.
Wow, he's explained it so beautifully. Nobody could have done a better job. Like a tree, he's saying that there is some rigidity in it. We see that, all these, sometimes here in San Diego, we see these tall trees, ये palm trees, इतने लंबे उनका वो तना देखो तुम कैसे पकड़ के बैठे, I don't know. If they have to make a pole like that, it'll be so difficult. But the nature has made it and they stay perfectly fine. They sway, but they stay. So anyway, it's just saying that these bark have some rigidity, but it's a living bark which yields to the healthy impulses. So it should be flexible. Again, he's saying the same thing. So our books, of course, last mein unhone bola, except of course some of the eternal laws, which are the truth. It's like real and unreal, not going to change. Million years ago or now, it's not going to change. Life and death definition is not going to change. But within that, flexibility needs to be there. So very beautiful, totally perfect. Yeah.
The healthy sign of accommodation and adjustment is nowhere so perceptibly seen as in the long and unbroken history of the brilliant culture and inimitable spiritual vision of the Hindus.
So we have seen the same thing that, that it is going on for so long. First it was oral traditions, and now 5,000 years ago, Ved Vyasji, put in written form and all that. And there was another thing that I wanted to bring out that which, it is very scientific, everything. That's how I got so fascinated by it when I started learning it, that it started sitting well with my mind, because we all have this question, we have this logical mind, and it has enough masala to satisfy your logical mind too, with examples and everything. In our religion, there's nothing like this. You listen to it and you believe and you do it, whether you believe it or not, go do it. They're not. Even Krishna Bhagwan didn't have to do that to Arjun. बैठ के समझाया, उसके प्रश्न का आंसर दिया. Arjun got convinced himself. फिर भी उसको एंड में बोला भगवान ने, मैंने तेरे को सब कुछ बता दिया, अब तू वही कर दे जो तेरा मन तुझे बोल रहा है. हाँ, इतना फ्रीडम उसको दिया, which is just tremendous. There is no, 10 commandments are there, but hey, follow if you really believe in it. No need to pretend anything. First convince yourself, So here though he's saying that commandments bhi nahi hai. But, if you want to say, okay, chori mat karo, ye mat karo, whatever, you can say commandments. But we don't have any fixed thing like that, So whole thing is extremely scientific. That's how I feel. I don't know how all of you feel, that through going through all the Upanishads and everything, that it sits well with your logic and mind.
The early Aryans marching through Afghanistan, crossing the northwest frontier, migrated into Punjab, and the majestic procession of the earliest colonizers swept down and reached the plains of River Ganga, where they settled down to thrive and grow into distinct cultural groups. Here, duty was more sacred than right, and intelligence more appreciated than emotions. The history of growth of their philosophy today reads as a monumental saga of the best that the man as an individual or as a community had ever accomplished in the history of the world.
So he's just talking about that Himalayan culture that came about, that the people who gathered over there from all different places and all that, they developed this whole Vedic culture. And he was saying that they gave more importance to the duty over their right. We saw in our, you don't ask for, hey, what you can, what others can do for you, what you can do for the others. What your duty is, and your right is taken care of. That was Bhagavad Gita also, same thing. So that's what he's just saying, that just bringing a little bit of history and all that. So we'll stop here. Any questions or comment on whatever we have heard?
I feel that we should start early with the kids, because it's the way of life that is taught here, in Hindu religion, is how you live it. I mean, we learn late, even I learned very late.
I learned late also. So
and, and then you feel that it should have been taught earlier.
Yes.
So we could pass it on to our kids.
Tell that to the educators in India and all that. They fight tooth and nail. You cannot teach Bhagavad Gita in school because they have to take some religious. Hey, it's a philosophy. Exactly. It's not like exactly. It's so in old days when the Gurukul system was there, that's exactly what they did. They taught them science of life, in life and off life, both together. Imagine the value of it. I think in America, and we are also migrated here, and I was going to tell you that good luck to all of us trying to do that. Even my own grandchildren, I cannot start, because it's like we can suggest and we can do all that, but in the end, it's we don't know what to do. But all of us, we feel that way, I should have started even earlier.
Yes,
if possible. But
but to me it was like, Gita is written long time back. It was then. It's not now.
Now that's what we feel. But once we start reading, we realize the value of it. That timeless thing it is. Totally timeless.
It is timeless. Yes.
See, I can give you a practical example, because I've been telling my kids to do yoga or do all this and visit Sadhguru, but totally ignored. When my son went to Panchkarma, then he came back, now he started using it. So the question is, when I'm answering question on Kora quite a bit, they say, why we have to do anything? Because we are happy with what we have. So the trouble is, the question is, when the thing started in the beginning, there was a fire and sparks came out. They were like, you were number 1, I was number 100. And we start interacting. And it is like a snow going on your tire. So all your karmas and your things you keep doing till you start shedding them after a while. And once you start shedding them, then you become jigyasu, which is curious. And that's the only time the thing starts. That's what he said in the beginning. That you have everything is out of focus.
Yeah.
And then when do you start focusing? I did at the age of 56. But people don't. I mean, I've been telling my daughter, she is ignoring me. So I'm too busy.
Everybody same story. Joe, don't. It's and
so
in
the idea is, when you become jigyasu yourself from within,
tab hoga. Yes.
Then start having, and that's what the group is here. They all became jigyasu.
Yeah.
And now they're curious.
I mean, the other side of the coin is that we should be happy that in this life we became jigyasu. नहीं तो और कितने life चले जाते
हैं. Multiple lifetime issues. It's not like
I know. I remember asking Umaji. I said, it's so late now. What's the point? शुरू में जब मैंने क्लास ज्वाइन की थी, इनको बोला था कि मुझे तो बिल्कुल कुछ भी नहीं आता है. अब मैं क्या कर पाऊंगी? Same thing as Meena ji said, starting out late. And Umaji's answer was brilliant. She said, you start whenever you start. Everything will stay with you, and you can continue in your next janam also.
That's what Krishna Bhagwan said. Yes.
A heartening answer.
Yeah.
It gave me so much hope, कि ऐसे नहीं लगा कि अब हम क्या कर रहे हैं, सारा टाइम वेस्ट हो रहा है या हो गया है. बट ये कि अब जब भी शुरू करना है कर दीजिए, और जो भी आप कमाएंगे इस जन्म में, this is the only wealth that is going to
Going to
with you
go.
in the next janam. So that
No,
is
because Krishna said in Gita.
Yes, that is
you
Krishna's
start
words,
there
by the
where
way.
you left off.
Yes.
so.
Yeah.
So you start in the next life where you left off.
Yes.
Then you ask, what about the previous years we didn't do anything? That is because you had desires, also which you had that were unfulfilled. So you go and fulfill those desires, and then you get triggered into jigyasu. And that's when you start where you left off. So
Yeah, it's like a little child, they want to play, and once they get totally tired, get hungry, then they come to mommy.
Yes.
Otherwise, it keeps attracting them to go.
We don't do it ourselves. The universe makes us do it. Like I remember, I was not even joining Gita class. In fact, Satyan, I know,
He pushed
he
you.
told me he didn't want to join, so he said, "You join."
It's amazing that how all of us ended up. Yeah.
By the way, today is his anniversary. He died,
Oh,
a year ago.
okay.
Okay.
So, so
I
we were
think he
sitting at
died
his
in
house.
July.
I thought she did her anniversary last month, right? She did it. Sneha.
No,
didn't-
she's
That
doing
I
the
remember.
puja today. Puja she is doing today.
Oh, okay.
So, in fact, I was talking to her yesterday.
Okay.
So, but the point is, I wasn't even interested in joining. And then, he said, why don't you join?
Umaji, it's time for you to go because you have an
Yeah,
appointment. So,
thank you for reminding me. But yeah, very nice. We'll continue our discussion. But thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, and I will close the class. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Umaji.
Let me do the closing prayer.
Yeah.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Hari Om, everybody. Have a great
Hari Om.
week. I'll see you next time. Yeah.
Thank you, Umaji.
Thank you.